As I'm starting my seeds for the coming 2026 garden, it made me take a look back to previous year where my YouTube journey has started. And it kind of makes me ask the question of why YouTube? Why did I start YouTube?
Growing Independence, first video.
For those of you who are wondering why I started this YouTube journey, the short answer is I was tired of being a consumer and I wanted to be a contributor. So for those of you who want a longer answer, keep watching and hopefully I'll explain myself. You see, I have been a YouTube watcher for, 14, 15 years. And it all started with when my husband and I first bought this house. We would watch all the YouTube videos of how to renovate a house, how to put in a window, how to do tile work, how to put in new flooring. And so YouTube was like my world. That was my how-to world where I would learn. My husband and I would learn all these skills, and then that's how we renovated our house. We just did everything ourselves. Well, later on, I became a mom, and that's when I would watch YouTube to watch other moms of how do they live life, how do they, how to wash baby bottles, how to make your baby go take a nap, take a sleep, everything that I wanted to know of how to do being a new mom, I didn't know. And I didn't really have anyone close to me to ask. So YouTube was my world that I can ask how to do this, how to do that. And then fast forward, once I became a mom, I started researching, knowing that I'm responsible for another human being. And that's starting from scratch. It made me kind of rethink everything and be like, is this good for her? What about this food? Is this food good for her? Well, what about this food? What's in it? And so that's when I started questioning the food system and diving even deeper into the food system of, is this good? Is this not bad? What is it made of? And that's kind of where it led me slowly into this gardening world of doing things ourselves. And I have this mentality that if I can do it myself, like I want to do it. So if, I look at the grocery store and I see a bell pepper and I think, can I grow a bell pepper? Well, let's try. And then we would consume Italian seasoning for our everyday things. And I would look at it and think, can I grow the herbs that go in this Italian seasoning? Let's do it. I want to encourage you guys to grow your own herbs. And you can follow along and I'll be showing you how, I start some of my herbs and we can go through that process and I'll help you through it. So I hope this helps and I hope that you will grow your own spice of life. Enjoy. And that's kind of like how I started. I just would look at the food that we eat every day and I think, can I do that? Well, let's do it. I probably can do that. Let me try it. And so that's where we are. So after having my garden for years and then canning for years, I felt confident enough that I wanted to pass along this information. And I myself am a visual learner. And so I kind of would like to watch other people do something like, I don't want to read in a book how to make crackers. Like that's confusing enough. I kind of want to see it and I want to see like the final result. Like I want to see what they're going to look like. Same thing with like making sourdough bread. Like it's very hard trying to read it and trying to follow just like instructions written on the paper. Like I want to watch a video on that. I want to watch someone else make it and then I'm going to try to do it myself based on that. So that's kind of how I've been, and I've wanted to be that person for someone else that's a visual learner like me, that, it's one thing to tell you like how to grow something in a book, but then for you to see it and then to see how I do it is another. And so hopefully that this is helpful for them.
And I definitely want the straw flower, but I don't want all the leaves. This side is empty.
When I would look at the grocery store, I would start thinking, okay, what are some of the things that we buy on a regular? And for me, pickles was one of the things that I love so much. I consume so many pickles, and I thought, okay, well, cucumbers, so I'm gonna try to grow cucumbers. And then, okay, what goes in it? Dill. I'm gonna grow dill, and then you have to have garlic to when you pickle it. So I'm growing garlic, and then I put bay leaves in that, and then I have my own bay leaf bush. And so kind of I started thinking of the process of what goes into the item that I like, and then I would see if I can grow those things. And that's how it was for me. So with pickles, I was so particular about the kinds that I like. I like dill pickles, and then this way I was able to control what goes in it and then control the flavor, and then there's no preservatives, no extra food coloring, or like nothing crazy in it. And that's kind of slowly how I started taking control of the food system and being responsible for the things that we eat every day. Growing the food, that was one part of gardening, but then the second part was you had to learn how to deal with all the food that you grow. There's so much abundance of something, like let's say pickles, there's so many of them. So the second part of that is that then I had to learn how to can, and I've been canning for a few years, but I still wouldn't consider myself a pro. I mean, accidents still happen, as I show you here. When I had a jar break when I was right before as I put it in the canner of pickles. So it's not perfect. It has its challenges, but that's one of the things that I love about growing a garden, is that you can preserve the food and then you can have it shelf stable and you can come and get it whenever you want. So it's kind of like you're making your own grocery store, and you can come back to the shelf and be like, I feel like having pickles today. This is my favorite part of whole canning, is getting the jars out and just feeling a sense of accomplishment and just like, oh, all this work that I did, it's all done. And then here's like your instant reward. You get to physically see it, all your hard work. But anyways, I'm glad to be done with this. I did a few more batches after that, and everything turned out good. So I learned my lessons, and I hope this was helpful to you guys, and that you kind of learn from my mistakes, and then so you don't have to make them yourself. So enjoy those pickles. On this episode, I want to share with you all the salsa recipe that I have been making for several years now, and it is my husband's favorite. He loves canned salsa. For me personally, I prefer the fresh one best, without the cooked tomatoes, but he loves canned salsa. So here I am making lots for him. So I'm going to share the recipe with you guys.
Look at that. It was perfect. Perfect amount.
So every year I have my staples that I grow, tomatoes, cucumbers, garlic, onions, and peppers, and all the things. But then there's some years that I'm focusing more on a specific thing to do with those things. So one year I wanted to focus more heavily on tomatoes. And so I grew 70 tomato plants from seed. And that was the year that I wanted to learn how to make my own ketchup, my own tomato paste, my own tomato sauce, salsa, all the tomatoey things. So that was like my main focus that year. Then last season, which is what this footage is from, that was the season that I wanted to focus more on making my own sauerkraut. And so I focused more on growing cabbages. and having lots of those, so then I can preserve the cabbages and then have the sauerkraut last in the fridge for like at least a year. And we actually do still have like 3 jars still left over in the fridge from that. So every year I kind of choose something else that's like my focus. The one year I was focused more on bell peppers, and I had tons of bell peppers. And then one year was like celery, and I had a lot of celery that I dehydrated, and then I froze a lot of it, and so all the things. So some crops, they are of course a staple. So like I always make sure that I make salsa every season, and then pickles, that's a must. I have to make that every season for sure. And then like this season, I don't think I'm gonna really go heavy on bell peppers. And then I don't want to do sauerkraut this year. I've had enough of that for this season, so I'm not doing that. But I'm actually going to focus more on broccoli. So I wanted to have a lot more broccoli this season that I can freeze, and then have to eat fresh as well. So just every year, I just kind of choose different things that I want to focus on, and it's been fun. Onto the cutting board they go. It looks so pretty too. Such a happy sight. And so at this stage, not all the jars are even sealed kind of right now. So you have to make sure that you leave them on the cutting board for a while. And honestly, like even after, I don't know, like 15, 20 minutes, you'll see that they will all slowly, because like the steam is still escaping right now. And the steam is going to escape and then slowly kind of seal your jars. So don't worry if they kind of still look like they're sealed properly, because you can kind of see on the top of the lid there's like a little bump, so you have to wait for that to go down, but it will. In July, we took you over to Pennsylvania to my husband's family farm, just in time for blueberry picking season.
We want to show you varieties, we want to show you spacing, and just kind of show you the basics, and hoping that this will be interesting and helpful for you guys. So come along.
Okay, not sure if you can see this, but this is a really nice variety called scallop potato. You just put it in there and it's all ready for you to, it's pre-sliced. Just grows pre-sliced. You just throw it in the skillet. She'll tell you what variety.
No, but I wanted to show that I have a notebook, a journal that I kept for a few years. And I would write down like when I planted something, so then later on I can look back and be like, oh yeah, I planted that on March 15th. Here's our harvest. It's not as much as in the past years, but I'm very happy with the size of these. Some of the big ones, look at that. Look how big this one is. What do you think? How much weight?
43.
43. Okay. Very.
Well, the grape probably weighs 10, so.
Okay.
So 34 pounds.
Okay.
No problem.
With garlic, it's the same like with potatoes. You plant one of it and then you get so much more in return. It's such a fun and rewarding crop to grow that I just love it. It is super easy. That is one of those things I just cannot buy at the store, because I'm like, it is so easy to grow. I'll just put it in the ground and it grows. Love it.
And just like that, 9 months of work shows the result. Here it is.
With garlic, a lot of that we were able to dehydrate and do garlic powder or garlic salt. With escapes, I did garlic salt. And then a lot of it stored really well long term. And then with the rest of it, I was able then to take that amount and then replant it again for the following year. It seems so crazy, but like already in October, I planted all of my own cloves from the previous year. I took all the biggest cloves and were able to plant them again for this coming season. So it's just like one of those fun and rewarding crops that just like so fun and easy to grow.
Sweet Spanish yellow Utah jumbo. That was the best onion for me from there. So here are my flowers. And then here I have my vegetable ones. So all the different tomato varieties, and I have them organized like all the different peppers, all the different cucumbers, squashes. So I have these onions. I'm gonna put them back. I like to keep them this way. So you get to watch me turn this into this. Let's go.
As I got more confident growing all the vegetables that I needed for my family, my kind of repertoire expanded, and I wanted to go into the flowers world. I wanted to learn more about the flowers. Before, I used to think that it's kind of useless to have flowers because I wanted to save all my room in my garden for vegetables. But the more kind of I went along, the more I learned that like everything that I grow as vegetables, they're like everything's just green, all the greenery. But once I kind of started growing some of the flowers, oh, my world opened up, and it made me realize that I just appreciate the beauty of flowers so much more. Like no matter how many vegetables I have in the garden, when I come out the back doors, it's like it's the flowers that I go towards. Like I want to see them. I want to see what's blooming. I want to collect some of them, you know, for a bouquet, for friends, family. They just bring so much more joy. So like flowers are definitely needed in every garden, every vegetable garden. You have to have flowers. And every year I have tons of bees that come for my poppies that I have growing. Tons of bees come, tons of butterflies, and it's just like I don't know, I have like noticed myself looking more at different bugs. I'm like,
oh my word, he's like dancing. How cool is that? He literally like looks just like the straw flower. So funky. I just love all these creatures.
oh, look at this cool little bug. Oh, look at this little ant crawling around. You just appreciate God's creation so much more when you can kind of see it unfold right before your eyes.
The variety is California Giant, and I grew them for the first time 3 years ago, I think. Look, it's just coming off of a main stem, so it's not like ideal for flower arrangement.
So the next step after learning about flowers and growing them was seed saving, and that was my next step in my growing independence, was to try and save my own seeds. And those are the things that I was teaching you guys last season on how to save your own seeds.
That I want to show you guys is cotton. I'm super excited about it. This is my first year growing cotton, and I knew nothing about it. They are very hidden in there, covered up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Look how hard it is to get to the seed. Let me see if I can. Ouch. You see that? So this is like a shell. Oh, there you go. Let me do it. Right there. That's your cottonseed. What color are they going to be next year? Seniors are just known to cross-pollinate. Ooh, like look right here. This is when the plant does its own work and they have been saved on the plant. So let me show you. Like this is all flower debris, but then these little flat guys, these are the seeds. So right here, you see how it's attached to the petal? So you don't need the petal for drying. And so right now they're a little bit green. So you would take them home and let them dry, and then they'll become brown like this.
I have developed so much as a person, and I have changed so much over the years. And if you'd have told me this, I don't know, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, that this is where I would be, I would not believe you, because I didn't want this lifestyle. I didn't want to be living this way. And I didn't know about, I don't know, I feel like the more I go into, as they would call, the rabbit hole of the food industry and just the world around us, the more I learn, the more I can't be the same person that I was before. I can't just naively, grab this snack or grab this food. And I don't know, my conscience just doesn't let me, knowing how things at the store aren't all food. I used to think that the things you see at the grocery store, like everything was food, everything is good for you, everything is edible. And now the more I'm learning about all the different dyes they put in kids' food and gummies, and all the different chemicals are in the foods and the food dyes, and just like everything added on extra, and the preservatives that they have to do to make things shelf stable, just kind of makes me sick. And I just realized that you can't really trust the food system in the grocery store. You kind of have to do your own homework. You have to be your own ambassador for food, and you have to do your own homework and just see where your value is at, what matters to you, and where you want to go from here. So I've changed a lot, that's for sure. And I'm happy the route that I'm going, that I'm on, the path that I'm on, because it just makes a better life for my kids and better life for my husband and me. And I don't know, I'm happy I'm going down this road. And so these are the things that I want to teach other people too, because without knowledge, you're nothing. Like if you didn't know these things, then you can't be expected to be living to those standards. And so at least my goal is to get the information out there, so then the people can know how to do it, what goes into it. And then people can make their own decisions and their own choices in life. But at least they would know. They would know from me,
And there's lots more where that came from. So I'm happy. I'm happy with it. Glad to have them out of the ground. And now is the hard part of dealing with all these. The carrots, I'm going to clip the tops off, and I'm going to store them in our garage in a cardboard box with some wood shavings to try to preserve them. I'll have some in the fridge, but I mean, there's only so much room in the fridge for us. And then the beets, they're all going to be pickled. So I can't wait. It's a battle of beets versus carrots. Let's go.
how it's done. So I'm happy to teach others. I'm so excited on this new YouTube journey. I'm really excited. This is like what I love doing. I love teaching, I love growing, and just everything in between. And there's a lot more coming down this road. My husband and I are learning so much more of how to make different things. It's just like the more we kind of live our life, the more we're like, well, what about this product? Can we make this product? And then, you know, what about this? Now we're learning how to make tallow lotion, and just everyday things that we use. We're just learning how to make that. So it's been so fun, and just kind of develops us as people, you know. But at the bottom of it all, it makes us look back to who we are. Like, why are we here on this earth? Like, why did God put us here on this earth? Like, to do what? Just to live and to die? You know, there's more to life than just that, just living and dying. And so it's how you live. Who do you live for? How do you worship God in the process? Do you give him the glory in everything that you do? And so that's my goal, to do that. So that's where I'm at. So anyways, this is done. Bada bing, bada boom. All those beets are now pickled, and I cannot wait to make those recipes I told you about. So keep an eye out for that, and I'll see you later.
And so the total recipe is going to be 8 cups of basil, whatever variety you prefer. Then we're going to have 8 cloves of garlic, freshly harvested from the garden. I'll put Tanya's most recent garlic reveal video down in the description below. So again, 8 cups of basil, garlic, homegrown or store-bought is fine. We have 1 cup of nuts here, and you can do traditional classic pine nuts if you want. I'm going with half and half. It's going to be 1 cup of walnuts and pecans. I'm going to do that. Fill up our jars. So there you have it. That made about 6 half-pint jars. I left quite a bit of space at the top just so I could even out everything in the jars. And again, we're going to put these in the freezer. Just grab them out anytime during the fall, winter. It's like having summer in a jar.
And of course, none of this YouTube journey would have happened without my loving and supporting husband. He knew my dream and my vision, and he the one that kind of helped push me to start that first episode. He's like, let's go. We just got to do it. We just got to do it. Just do it now. And so that's how we videoed our first episode of remodeling our garden beds. And it just went from there. And he's always been there for me, and he's kind of helped lovingly push me and encourage me, and, you know, come on, you got to do this. You can do this. And so I'm really thankful. Without him, I wouldn't have done this. And he's been so supportive in everything that he enjoys too. So, you know, he encourages me, come on, we got to grow sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes. Or, you know, let's do this, let's do that. And so he's been with me along the way, and he's my hunter who loves to hunt. And now I'm over here making venison burgers and venison meatballs and tallow from the venison fat. And so we're kind of our interests intertwined, and so we both love and enjoy the lifestyle that we're living. So it's been a lot of fun to do this together.
I always get twins. Look at that. Isn't that funny?
Ooh, finally got some.
2025 sweet potato harvest is finished, and this is Philip's specialty. He loves sweet potatoes. Why do you love sweet potatoes?
Because they're just good.
I didn't grow up eating sweet potatoes. I'm more of a white potato person. So he loves sweet potatoes. I don't really enjoy them as much eating. So he insisted that we grow some. I'll say 55 pounds.
Wow, 58.
Oh, cool.
Good job. You were close. Yeah, 58 pounds.
Okay.
So we went from 2 pounds paying $5 in sweet potatoes got all those slips from 2 pounds to 58 pounds. So that's a 29 times increase.
Okay. Good job.
All right. Be sure to like, subscribe for more.
A grown independence.
All right, that wraps it up.